Hello there, my name's Suze Shardlow. I am the Developer Community Manager here at Redis. Thanks so much for joining me today. It's day 11 of DEVcember. It's Wednesday the 15th of December and it's day 11 of DEVcember. The reason why it's day 11 is because we here in the Developer Relations team at Redis are doing some live streams on all of our working days leading up to the 24th of December. So we work Monday to Friday here. So we're doing a live stream every day, Monday to Friday from the 1st to the 24th of DEVcember inclusive. And what we are trying to do here in these little live streams is just give you a 15-minute taster of a few different Redis concepts just to whet your appetite. And from there, you can go on to learn about them in more detail. So we have Redis University, university.redis.com. A great place to start at Redis University is RU 101. I took that course in October this year and I live streamed it all with my colleague Justin. So if you want to see the recordings of that, please go onto YouTube. You can check those out there. There's 5 weeks worth. And RU 101 is Introduction to Redis Data Structures. So it's a really good place to start. And what I found with DEVcember is that these 15-minute live streams are a really great refresher for me as well. And I hope you do too. There's also some topics that are, because RU 101, we couldn't include every single thing. We had to include the main data structures. So we did cover a lot of them, but things like top K were not included. And yesterday, Steve and his dog gave a really good overview of top K. So please do check that recording out. If you missed it, you won't regret it. So if you want to know more about DEVcember, then go to developer.redis.com/DEVcember. You'll find all the recordings of the live streams so far, and you'll find the schedule up to tomorrow. And it's always tomorrow. So we're not releasing the schedule way in advance. We're keeping a little bit of suspense there. At the end of this session today, I will tell you what tomorrow's topic is, and then we will give you a link there so that you can set a reminder for yourself for when we go live. So today's topic is a very hotly anticipated one. People have been asking me on social media whether we're going to cover this topic. And today, the day has come. The day has come for RediSearch. Seek and you may find introducing RediSearch. So today I've got my colleague Simon Prickett, who heads up the developer advocacy team here at Redis. Let's bring Simon into the mix.
Hello.
Simon, how are you today?
All right, it's morning for both of us. So I'm on my second cup of AeroPress coffee. So hopefully we can pull this off at a relatively early hour.
Yeah, Simon's a big AeroPress fan. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it, but it's a way of making filter coffee, but on a manual basis. It's actually quite cool. I reckon actually you should do that on a live stream one day.
We could do, yeah. I mean, I went on a course once that was a gift, and it's literally the gift that keeps on giving, because all we did was we made coffee with the AeroPress, and they changed one variable at a time. So it's a bit like coding. We used the same beans, the same machine, the same water temperature. What she changed was how you grind it and how long it's in the machine, how you filter it, and you get massively different results. So if we could work some coffee content in, then we should definitely do that.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, I drink decaf, and hopefully they have a decaf option on those courses. Otherwise, I'd be totally buzzed by the end of that. If you're making hundreds of cups of coffee with different things changed each time.
Yeah. So yeah, just a shout out to yesterday as well. If people didn't watch yesterday's stream, go watch it. Steve pulled off some great live coding example in C#, so with the .NET framework, not something that you see very often with Redis, but something that he is with us to promote, and you absolutely can do as Windows developers. I don't have a dog, so I can't promise that we'll be interrupted by a dog, but we do have dog and cat content for today's session, so that's the best I can manage.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, you will get some dog content if you watch Steve's video from yesterday. And also the very popular Steve is back later on in the DEVcember series. So do keep your eyes peeled for that. So until then, for now, let's have a look at RediSearch. I'll leave it to you, Simon.
Okay, thanks very much. I will just share my desktop here, and I'm going to start, again, inspired by Steve a little bit, with some slides. So what the heck is this? This is actually a picture of a woman working at the Library of Congress sometime in the 1970s in, I guess, Washington, D.C. And what she's doing here is she's got an index file open, or a drawer in an index file open, and there's loads of index cards in there. And each of those cards represents, like the record for a book in the library. So it might be I don't know if they had ISBN numbers back then, but, be its thing that identifies the book and information about the book, the author, the publisher, all of that stuff. What's that got to do with anything today? Well, a couple of things. Redis is naturally a key value store. So everything that you store in there has a key, and the keys live in a flat namespace. They all live together next to each other. So that's a bit like all of these drawers or cabinets that you see here. And each key's got a name, and that's a bit like you see the white rectangle on each front one. That would be where they store the name or some indicator of what's stored in there. So, it might be like if I'm running an animal shelter, which is the example we're going to run with today, then I might have a load of cats and dogs in my care. And each of these drawers might be like all the records about one cat or one dog. So the label might be that cat or dog's like tag ID, how we know them in the shelter, like their unique numbers since forever, or it might be their name, like, Luna the dog. And then inside there, I would have a record of everything about them. So I'd have like their name, age, how they came to us, behavioral traits, what their adoption fee is, maybe dietary preferences and that sort of thing. So in many ways, you can think of Redis as a huge selection of like drawers or cabinets that you can put things in, each of which have a name, and then the things that go in those cabinets have a type. And what we're mostly describing today is the Redis hash type. So again, here's another way of looking at Redis. So if I do over there on the Redis CLI, if I do set cat to mocker, that creates we have coffee content too. Forgot about that. If we set a key cat to a value mocker, that's equivalent to opening one of those drawers, putting the word mocker in it, closing it, and labeling it cat. So we know when we want to get cat again, which drawer it's in. And I can do that for lots of things. So I can have a dog called Latte. And that's generally how Redis presents to people, is a key value store where the value in this case is strings. It could be hashes, which is an associative array type data structure, or it could be any of the other Redis data structures that you see on our other live streams. So Redis can also be extended. So if you don't like the data structures that are built in, or you do love them and you want to do even more with them, there's a thing called a module API. That is something that is open and public. You can write modules yourself, and also other people write those and make them available. So we at Redis have made several modules available. You can download them, compile them, install them in your own Redis, or you can just go to Redis Cloud at redis.com, sign up and check the boxes for the modules that you want in your cloud database, and we'll provision one for you. Another way of getting hold of these to try them out is with Docker images that we provide, and that's what I'm doing today. So we're going to look at RediSearch, which is a module. RediSearch broadly solves a couple of potential problems with a key value store for us. So first thing is, imagine I put all the records for a dog called Luna in a key called Luna. This is great if I know the dog's called Luna and I can remember that. I want Luna's records. What if I forget that the dog's called Luna, or I don't have that information? I just have his tag number, so I know him as like dog 10,005. How do I then get those values out of Redis if I've basically stored it in a key called Luna and there's nothing associating 10,005 with Luna? Once I know Luna, I can get 10,005 from the record that's in that box, but there's nowhere that says, oh yeah, 10,005, that's in Luna's box. So RediSearch solves a couple of issues. It solves the one of secondary indexing. So if we have a load of data and we want to retrieve it by things that aren't the key, then we can tell RediSearch what other items to create and manage indexes for us and it will do that. And then it provides us with a querying language that allows us to write some pretty flexible queries. And we can look at what that means in a minute. It also gives us full text search. So where I have a field like description of the animal's behavioral traits, I could search for words in there like playful, but I could also do fuzzy searches. So like give me everything that looks like play. So playing, play, playful, and so on. And I can ask it for things that do not include certain things. So I might want to find a dog where the description doesn't include anxious or does include good and children. So we could infer that that dog could go to a family with children. So RediSearch isn't a module. You can get it in the cloud, you can get it in Docker, you can compile it yourself, and it does all of these things. So backing up a little bit to how we store data in Redis, RediSearch allows us to index over a couple of different Redis data types at the moment. It allows us to index over the hash type and over JSON documents. So for speed in this demonstration today, and also because we're going to cover JSON as a topic separately in DEVcember, I've gone with the hash type. So what's a Redis hash? It's something that gives us an associative array or a dictionary or an object-like thing if you program in JavaScript, and it associates names with values. So here I have my pets, and I've decided I want to store a name, a species, and an age, and I want to store each of those things in one Redis key. So a hash is perfect for that. So here I'm storing hash at adoptables:1001. So I'm keying off of the animal's ID. And then I'm storing the name, Charlie, species is a dog, age is 13. And these are different types of data fields. So the name would essentially be a free text field. Species is probably what you might associate with a drop down in a website. So it's more like a tag field. You know, our shelter accepts maybe dogs, cats, and reptiles, but we don't accept fish and birds. So you know, the only values that will be in species will be dog, cat, reptile. Age is obviously a number. And I might want to do different sorts of searches on these things. So I might want to say, find me dogs that are 13 to 15 years old. And just with a hash and regular Redis, that's actually going to be quite hard because we can get that information out by key. So if I know 1001, I can get Charlie's record. How do I then do something like find a pet called Luna, or give me all the male dogs, or combinations of these things? So find pets that are 9 to 10 years old and are good with children. This is where RediSearch is going to come in and save us having to build and manage indexes ourselves. It's going to do it for us, and it's going to give us a really clean way of doing that. So that's all the slides I had. So I'm just going to now go ahead and look at a little bit of code. So today's session, we've chosen to use Python with RediSearch. And what we are going to do here is actually load up some adoptable animal data and model it in Redis OM, which is a new Redis client for Python that supports RediSearch very well and provides a really nice and usable API for it. And then we're going to make some queries against that data. So what I've got here is, let's show the data. We've got a CSV file that contains a load of animals. So we're storing these things about them. So the name, the species, how old, weight, what sex the animal is, how much we want to charge for their adoption fee, are they good with children and other animals, and a free text description. And we have about 100 or so animals in there. So what we need to do is a couple of things. We need to get this data into Redis, and we said we wanted to store it as a hash. And then we need to write some queries over it. So first off, with Redis OM, it allows us to model objects. And we saw this earlier in a previous stream in DEVcember that I did. So what we're going to do here is use Redis OM for Python, and we are going to build what's called a hash model. So this is something in Redis OM that tells it, when we save this to Redis, store it in a hash. So we're describing each of the fields we want here, and then we're also telling Redis OM whether RediSearch should build an index on those for us. So we're basically saying the name is a string and we want that indexed. Species is a string and we want it indexed. Age is an integer, we want it indexed. Float is a weight is a float because, you know, dogs and cats can weigh 2.4 pounds or 5.8 pounds, but we don't care if they're 3.5 years old. We want that to be a whole number, and so on all the way down. And then we have a little bit of a deviation here. So the description, which is that long free text field, we are saying we want to full text search that. So there are terms in there that we might want to pull out that aren't in the other fields. So here we built a model for these values in RediSearch. Then we just need to load them into Redis. So I have a data loader here that basically opens that CSV file. It uses Python's built-in CSV reader. And then we read the values into a dict in Python, create one of these adoptable models that we just saw. And then what I'm going to do is RediSearch's really nice interface for this. I can just hit .save, and that's going to persist it to Redis. So we don't need to know about Redis commands. We don't need to know that underneath it's creating a hash and it's actually doing hset and then all of the fields. It's going to save that. And also it's created this extra field on the model called PK, which is primary key. So it's dealt with creating a primary key in Redis for us. We don't have to worry about that. And it uses ULID identifiers for that, which is a standard. Then down here, we have an object called migrator. That in RediSearch is something that manages indexes with RediSearch. So once we've built these models and put them in Redis, we'll tell RediSearch, hey, create an index. And then what it will do is then independently of us, it will track everything that's in those hashes. And as we add, modify, delete data to them or add new ones, it will update the index in pretty much real time because everything runs in memory in Redis, or everything is a copy of everything's kept in memory. So a copy of RediSearch's index is in there. It will update that very, very quickly. So what I'm going to do really quickly is I have Redis Insight here. I have a completely empty Redis database with RediSearch installed. So I'm just going to run that code and find the right window. Here we go. I'm going to do Python load adoptables.py, and you'll see it goes through and it outputs all of the pet names and then their keys. And then if I go back to Redis here and reload this, you'll see we have a load of pets here now, and Redis Insights identified these as hashes. That's what RediSearch saved them as. And the keys actually have the sort of fully qualified model name from Python in there. If you don't like that and you want to use different key naming, you can override it in the Python code, but I just went with the default. So if we pick something here, you'll see we've stored sex, male, age 2, all of the things that we had in the CSV file, plus this primary key field that Ohm created for us. So this is great. We've got all the data there, but now I need to know them by these primary keys. So how do I go get the data out? How can I make queries against this? So let's close this. So here in my query file, we have some examples of using RediSearch with RediSearch to write queries. And if you use RediSearch with other Redis clients, you'll find that you have to learn the RediSearch query language, which is not something that you might have come across before, and it's a little bit low level. So what we're going to see here is how RediSearch handles that for us, so we don't need to worry about it. So very, very simple query. If I want to find every pet called Luna, I just do adoptable, which is my model. So we tell RediSearch what sort of thing we want to find, .find. And then I say what field name I want. So adoptable.name must be equal to Luna, and return all of them. And what it will do is it will go find all of the animals called Luna and return them. So if I sort of run that, whoops, I have a problem here. That's interesting. What has gone on here? Very interesting. We have a I'm going to do here is just run Redis CLI and use the RediSearch commands all begin with FT. So I'm going to do I think I have potentially the wrong Redis running. No, I don't. Let's see if we can restart Redis here. All right, so we have RediSearch loaded there. I can verify that. So let me then go ahead and try and reload that data. Okay, so I reloaded that and then do Redis CLI. I don't have an index. Okay, so I'm going to have to skip a live demo here because for some reason something is not working with creating my index. But what I wanted to show here was when I do this, it should do, it should return everything for the hash for the dog Luna because it's gone away and indexed it and found Luna. And now I could start using the interface to make more complicated queries. So I can do find male dogs. So here I can start stacking up query clauses. So again, I'm using adoptable.find. And this time I'm saying adoptable.species must be a dog and adoptable.sex must be M. So that would find me all of the male dogs. We can then do integer type range queries and again combine these with other things. So I could say adoptable.find where adoptable.species is a dog. And then we can have this sort of compound clause of adoptable.age must be greater than 8 and adoptable.age must be less than 11. So this would find me all the dogs that are 9 to 10 years old. Then finally, the sort of thing that brings both aspects of RediSearch into play, so the indexing and the full text search, we'd be able to do adoptable.find here and say, find me all of the cats and find those where the children flag is set to yes, so they are good with children. And then we might want to make sure that they're like really good with children. So in the description field, what we're saying here is find descriptions that contain words that stem or start with play, so like play and playful. And then we want to say find, eliminate cats where the description contains words that look like anxious. So the tilde is sort of a not operation. And then the same for nervous. So here we're basically saying, find me all the cats that the shelter believes are good with children and which are known to be playful and not anxious or nervous. So I wish I could have given you a live demonstration of that, and I'll look into what happened there with why my index wouldn't build locally, but that's basically all there should be to it. So using RediSearch here, you have this really, really high-level fluent querying system over RediSearch, which is a secondary indexing and full-text search for Redis. And RediSearch is available in different programming languages. So Steve will be talking to us about the .NET implementation. I already did a short session on Python, and obviously we looked at it here. And we'll be having Guy Royce talk to us about the JavaScript Node version and Brian Samboden about the Java Spring version. So that was what I had today. Sorry it didn't quite go to plan, but hopefully you get the idea of what happens here, and that with these new Redis clients, we're operating at a very high level and making very sort of easy to understand and debug queries without having to learn the underlying query language. And that this gives us a really flexible way of querying a data store that you wouldn't naturally assume it would have because it's a key value store. So yeah, I'm going to bring Suze back into, and we'll talk about what's going on with the rest of DEVcember.
Hey Simon, well done for getting through that.
Yeah, that worked. That of course worked just before the live stream. So I think I have some issue with my local setup there, but
Yeah,
live demo.
no, I take my hat off to you, because there's only one thing more nerve-wracking than live coding, and that's live debugging. So yes, unfortunately, when you tell a computer to do something, it doesn't always do the same thing, even if you tell it to do the same thing, which is very odd. But yes, thanks so much for that overview of RediSearch. And I always love it when you do the pet one, because it makes me want to go to the cat shelter and play with all the cats and come home with a load of them. So yeah, thanks for that. Always valuable to learn about these different things. And like you said, during DEVcember, we're going to be covering a lot of the new stuff as well. So we've got 4 new clients. So basically, pick your favorite language. We've probably got a client for it. Like Simon said, we've got Java, JavaScript, Python, and .NET. Steve, who you met yesterday, being our .NET expert, is going to be talking to us about that at some point during DEVcember, but I'm not going to tell you exactly when. But tomorrow, we've got our colleague, Guy Royce, who is one of our JavaScript developer advocates, and he is going to be talking to us about Redis Own for Node. So don't miss that, because it might be possibly the first time you've heard about this. It has been available for a few weeks now, but and you can try it out, you can use it, you can do what you want with it. But yeah, join us tomorrow for a nice little 15-minute demo of Redis Own for Node with me and Guy Royce. If you want to know more about DEVcember, go to developer.redis.com/DEVcember. And you'll also be able to set a reminder there for tomorrow's stream with me and Guy, if you want to. If you want to just subscribe to the entire channel, feel free to do so. youtube.com/RedisInc or twitch.tv/RedisInc. We stream live on both of those channels, and all the recordings go up on YouTube. So have a great rest of your day, everybody. I have got the whole day ahead of me, so I'm happy about that. And we'll be back tomorrow with Guy. Look after yourselves. See you. Bye.